Alrighty then, I'm digging, frog in my throat, and this is the vibe. Why it's the vibe? Because everything on this channel has to do with either metaphysics, spiritual, scripture, prophetic, dreams, remote viewing, out of body experiences, uh, jumping, and jumping, I'm talking about jumping through time, and God, and Jesus, and aliens, and this planetary system, other planetary systems, and so on and so forth. And so I think that pretty much covers it all, and you got the gist of it. I've had a pretty interesting life. Okay, um, what I want to talk about this evening, this time around, is the bangs. The bangs that every once in a while is, well, more often than not now, these bangs that everybody's hearing. And people can't put their finger on what these bangs are, but they're happening more often than not, and with them happening more often than not, I think that um, more people are going to be questioning what is that. Now, one of um, dreams, I guess. Let's just stick with dreams. So use, and we'll get to the science of that in a bit. Um, all of a suddenly, I found myself in South America, and I found myself in the Amazon jungle. I did. And I thought to myself, what the heck am I doing here? And like most always, because I have shared more often than not, I find myself asking, how did I get here and where am I? And so I start looking around and putting together that reality and go with it. I'm obviously there for a reason. It's definitely different. It's a and like I'm very grateful. Don't misunderstand me, because I wouldn't want to lose any of my gifts. I am very grateful. It's given me an ability to really love unconditionally and make a complete ham of myself simultaneously. And so because of it, at the very worst, I can't take myself too seriously. And at the very best, there's hope for all of us. As long as there's life, there's hope. Okay, so I all of a sudden found myself in the jungle, and I was looking at mountains, and I was looking around, where am I? And I was trying to put it together as to where I might be, when all of a sudden I started to hear these bangs. And these scared the bejesus out of me, of course. But as I was trying to get it together, and then all of a sudden I heard these bangs, I mean, the first thing I thought, because I could feel the earth move, it was so bang, so loud, I thought, is something coming up from the ground? Is the earth being attacked? Was there a war? What time frame was I in? And holy gamoly, man, like I really needed to know what these bangs were, because the whole situation was nefarious. It was scary. It was, I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I had to gather all this information simultaneously, at the same time to make an evaluation in a split second, two maybe. But in the midst of that, there was people that began running everywhere, and I was pleasantly surprised in one sense because I wasn't the only one there, and two, really disappointed that it was even happening. But people were running around everywhere, and all of a sudden I could hear them bang, and people would scream, and I just kind of froze watching all the screaming and running around, and I, looked up at the heavens, but not thinking that the answer would be in the sky, but I was looking up in the sense of looking into heaven, and asking God, asking the Lord, and everybody else involved, what's up? I think that's a legitimate question. I'm always asking, what's up? Okay. So on that note, when I looked up and I was wondering and I was looking to ask what's up or was up, I could see these fireballs. And I was like, holy guacamole. Yeah, bless that avocado, baby. And I really mean that. I really mean that. Because I asked myself, what was I looking at? What? Like, was this for real? Was this a premonition in a dream? What, what were they and what did they have to do in the time frame that I found myself in, hence in the Amazon jungle? I wasn't able to put a time frame to it. But what did end up happening as I continued to look up and asking what and why, how, you don't want to tell me when? Well, I'm not an idiot. I can figure it out. And so it was almost as if it was all slowed down for me, slow-mo. And I was looking at this, everything moving slowly, really slowly. I thought, oh, right. We find ourselves in this situation, do we? And I saw these rocks or asteroids, people might say, or they just started to fly from our sky into our atmosphere. And as it broke into our atmosphere, it was really loud bang, like really loud bang. We're talking loud, such as we haven't heard unless you've heard. And if you've heard, there's no mistaking how loud this bang really is. Then, after that bang, and you look up and you see nothing, zero. There all of a sudden is visual, and you see this fireball that is heading to Earth, and you are quickly timing it. You get this instant, break it down, see what it actually looks like, see what is actually happening, and from where you first noticed, from where you first looked up, and it was noticeable how many seconds it took, even if it's a half a second or 0.5, or 0.30 of a second. it gives you an idea now where you or we lose ourselves and people are running around is that there is just plenty. There is so plenty of them that you lose count. Now, um, this might sound like hogwash to you, but I haven't. This is not the first time I've ever told this to anybody. So there are going to be people that are going to hear the bangs, and whether I have worked with them one on one or in a group or workshop or bigger group even, are now noticing and can and do say, yeah, you know what, yeah, God gave me this gift that I can see and I get to project to people. It got to a point where it became so obvious, so much was confirmed, I was really compelled to start making these videos. So these bangs, now I'm not saying that, hey, look, definitely this is it. But what I am saying is, that's pretty familiar. Oh, yeah. Back to that. Because when I clued in to what it was that I was seeing, and I've been seeing all my life, literally, I've been taught in the heavens, literally. I know it sounds crazy, but I know I'm not the only one on this earth. I know that. So I mind less coming forward and being honest about these things. But getting back to the bangs, it's very similar. And I have to say, at this point, I don't believe in coincidences. I really don't. So, what, when we hear that, when we are experiencing that, we should be looking and paying attention to information pertaining and relating to our heavens, to our skies, and paying attention. Is there any type of fireball that landed somewhere on Earth or dispersed above Earth in a specific direction over what land? It kind of like a clock, you know. It's definitely confirmation, and we need to get ready because it's in all the movies, so it's definitely there in front of us, but I don't see that this is really a concern in the sense, as bizarre as it is, and as bizarre as things are getting, people would still rather keep the dots apart and separate than joined and connected. And reason being is that then we really have to look at things for what they really are, have them flat out on the table so we know what to work with, and plans moving forward. I think that if there is an individual or individuals that have an extensive thought process, I think this type of information should be readily available. And that is, if government isn't putting it on TV and it isn't putting it in front of you, you're not going to be paying attention. You're going to be distracted by other mundane responsibilities and never really looking at what is going on, because the synthetic world that we live in will be in fact stimulated uh, by a large enough percentage that people are looking at life like, I'm doing this once And so I'm going to take it for what it is. There's no consequences. Live it to their fullest. And don't get me wrong, I believe in all that too. But what I also believe is what intention is all about, the importance of intention, and that we reap what we sow. So if we, sow a negativity, we're going to reap a negativity. If we sow happiness and blessings, we will reap happiness and blessings. And some people disagree there too, but um, in order for there to be a yang, there has to be a yin. And, for there to be a yin, there has to be a yang. That's how all was created. So don't look at me in that department. In this department, I'm going to say, because there has been more of it and its popularity has grown, these bangs, these bangs that are being heard. It wouldn't hurt if we turn on our televisions and at least for 24 hours monitor and see if any news company or channel will give this up and present that. Now maybe they're not saying because they don't want us to identify with the bangs and what the bangs are because they don't want to feed what might turn into a analytical frenzy. And you know, as its momentum picks up, then for sure there would be people going, oh, hey man, like we really need to take another look at this. And I'm going to suggest it because it should be something that should be paid attention to. Now, in this visual, I recalled running through the Amazon forest, and the sad thing, while I was running, there was groups everywhere. We would run into one another, and we would give each other information, sharing information, and everybody's priority was for man to stay alive. That part was awesome. I really have to say that. As rough as it was, as conditions were, the fact that the basis of mankind became humanity. And it mattered to each and every one of us human beings. It mattered to us whether we lived or died. And so, having looked forward, it gave me hope in my heart and in my spirit because I did see man working together as a humanity and sharing important information that kept everybody alive. And this is why it was such a beautiful thing that I was able to see. But like I said, there is the hell that we find ourselves in that particular situation. And when we were running, they were falling um, into the sky. And like I said, you hear the bang, and you hear the bang about, well, nothing under 3 seconds. Okay, nothing under 3 seconds. You hear a bang, and then you're looking up because you're not sure from what direction it's coming from until all of a sudden it becomes visual to your eyes. And so I remember going, oh shit, and that's because I so often find myself in these situations I'm brought to these different time frames, and I get it. I am a transmitter. I take in all this information, and I'm out there to put it out there. So I'm not failing at my request. I am putting it out there, and I'm going to say that from here, You guys decide whether it should go any further or not. I believe that information is very pertinent in these particular times, because these particular times are really boxy. I know what I said, boxy. More than than people have any idea. It's it, we are in really, you know, peril times, believe it or not. Now, and it can get a hell of a lot worse. This is actually good. You know, it's good. We are heading into parallel times, um, and to what depth it matters as to how quick we come together as a race, as a humanity, as a whole. People matter to other people. And so, how it was, these pit stops and these people that, groups we're running into will say down the road they had such and such, but they didn't have such and such. And the other such and such that you were looking for, whether it be yourself or a party sharing it with you, they would say, okay, so there's water over there, there's bread over there, there's food, there's caves, I mean, because it's going to be very, very, uh, um, gee, I, I've got a whole bunch of ideas, tons of words that, and yet I'm speechless because what do I say? It's like a Mad Max period, um, uh, I think George of the Jungle period. It's so down to brass nakedness, brass taxes. It's all about survival. We don't have any of the luxuries that we are accustomed to in our present time. We lose all that luxury, and this is what's there ahead. People, you're allowed to say that I'm talking gibber. You're allowed to say it, but I always say the proof is going to be in the pudding, and somewhere somebody will remember this video, and I pray that it saves lives, that they go, hey, wow, I remember coming across that, right? Whether you believed in me or you didn't, whether it rang a bell or it didn't, that when it is time and necessary, you'll remember these words and you'll have an idea as to how to think next, what you can look for next, that was shown that you could prepare yourself even if people around you didn't believe in you. It doesn't matter as long as you believe in you, and you have a plan and you have a system. So in other words, there's more chances of people living in success even with just one person knowing the truth. They don't need their go ahead for you to create a system for them that is going to guarantee their lives just because they want to be and act, whether it's disconnected, stupid, uninterested, all of the above. You can go ahead and just do that. You can cover their existence, their rear end, their back. You could create it. You don't need their whether it's a home or a will, you have the power to create it, is what I'm trying to say. So it's really on you and it's on me as human beings. So in this scenario here, these bangs, that's pay attention because I've got a horrible, and I'm going to say horrible because it's really hard to get anybody to bend their ear. There's just so much, out there that it's so difficult to say one way, shape, or another. there's any genuinity or any truth or any honesty in any one of these videos from all of us. And so, like I always say, I trust the process. I'm going to continue to trust the process and follow through with what my heart compels me to make videos about. So, it's been a while. I'm going to say thanks for stopping by, and I hope that you watch this video twice. Share, thumbs up if you like it, or you find that I might have something to say that would interest you. It doesn't hurt to subscribe. It might kill you. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so we'll talk to you later. Ciao. Ciao, ciao.